My coffee watered down so fast because it is so hot today. So hot. It's August. I know it's still summer, but like now I'm craving fall weather. Welcome back. If you're new, my name is Kristen and you've reached my little corner of the internet. I'm sorry if this video is going up a little bit late. This is my July reading wrap up. I don't know why I'm filming it so late. Well, I do. I just got lazy. Hold on, I'm already talking too much. Fan break. Wait, hold on. One sec. I want to keep this intro short because this is the most amount of books I've read in a month this year. Woo! I don't have any stats for you because I forgot until right now. So, but I read 12 books and I listened to 3 and a half of them. Not bad. I don't know how many pages I read and I don't know what my average rating was. So you can do the math if you want at the end of this, but yeah, we're just gonna get started. So this first book, the review is gonna go by pretty quickly because I really don't have much to say. Oh, on my July TBR, I didn't read 2 books. I didn't read When the Moon Hatched and The Woman by Kristen Hanna because I actually read The Nightingale instead because I wanted to read The Nightingale before reading The Women because I've never read any Kristen Hanna books and I knew going into Kristen Hanna I wanted to read The Nightingale first. So that is why I didn't read The Woman this month, and I also didn't read When the Moon Hatched because I didn't want to. But I did read another fantasy this month, which is the first book I'm going to talk about. Yes, I read Onyx Storm this month, or in July, and wow. So all I wrote down in my actual like handwritten review was WTF. That's all I have to say about it. I guess one quick little blurb I will say about Onyx Storm. I gave it 4 stars, by the way. I don't know if it deserves the 4 stars. I gave it 4 stars because I liked the book. It was good. I am just disappointed that the series overall got extended to 5 books instead of staying at 3. I think this book would have been a lot more impactful, obviously, if it was the finale of a 3-book series, but now I feel with a 5-book series, it's just books 3 and 4 usually tend to be in a 5-book series kind of like iffy and tough to read, in my opinion, and this one was a lot. Are we gonna have a fan break counter? Maybe we should. We're at 2. So obviously I'm in it now. I'm gonna read the last 2 books whenever Rebecca decides to put them out. But yeah, I all I said was WTF, and if you read it, then you understand. I don't know how much further I can get into this book without saying much. I'm disappointed but excited for the rest of the series, and Xaden is still my number 1 fictional crush. So yeah. So the next book that I read was Between the Pines by Amber Palmer. I got this in my Probably Smut book subscription box. Hey. And this was just a perfect cutesy little small town cowboy romance. I gave it 3 stars. So basically this follows Lincoln and Josie, and they have a one-night stand, I believe, and then don't talk for a year until she ends up back on her family's ranch or something like that. I don't remember. Oh yeah, okay, so with a steady job, a new boyfriend, and her life finally on track, she's ready to prove she's not the same girl she used to be, except her father's prestigious summer horse training program just brought a ghost from her past straight to her front door, which is Lincoln. And I tend to rate a lot of like small town cowboy romances like this 3 stars just because like they get the job done. I get the vibe, I get the feel, I put the book down, pretty much never think about it again. The concept of them like meeting again after their one night stand a year later was really cool to read about. It's kind of a cop-out in my opinion when the author makes the female main character's like new boyfriend, like Josie has a boyfriend in the book when she meets Lincoln again after a year, and it's always like kind of a cop-out when they make the boyfriend an absolute a-hole, and you're like, yeah, obviously I don't like him with you. Like, you need to break up with him and get with the cowboy. Like, duh. I got what I wanted out of this book, and I remember Lincoln being very hot. So, yeah, 3 stars. This book was good. Okay, the next book I read, another small town cowboy romance. Wild Side by Elsie Silver. I mean, he's technically not a cowboy. So this follows Reese and Tabitha. So basically this has an arranged marriage, marriage of convenience. That's what this is, between Reese and Tabitha, because Tabitha's sister unfortunately passes away and leaves her son to Reese in the will instead of Tabitha for her nephew's guardianship, or yeah, right. So Tabitha's like, what the heck, I'm his aunt, like, why don't I have guardianship over this boy? And Reese does, which is insane. So they get married. And Reese has kind of like a double life. He is it WWE or something like that, and his persona is called Wild Side. So this starts off as like heavy enemies to lovers, which in contemporary romances, I feel like it's very difficult to write a very convincing enemies to lovers where you genuinely, like, the characters do not like each other. And Tabitha, like, through with her perspective, you can really feel how much she dislikes Reese. And I even at a certain point at the beginning of the book was like, man, I don't like Reese either. But of course, Elsie gets them together and it's just magic. Every single book that I've read from her, all of Chestnut Springs and everything I've read from Wild Side, I haven't read her very first series. I just bought the physical copy of Off to the Races, so I'm very excited to start that series. But and the last book in this series comes out this year as well. But like, everything that Elsie Silver writes and I read, I am in love with, and I don't give any of her books under 4 stars. So this was really good. I thoroughly enjoyed it, of course. And of course, I just really loved the tension in here. It made everything so much better, and like, it wasn't a skinny book by any means. So I was very hooked, and all of her books are just so easy to read and super bingeable. Another marriage of convenience book that I read, my second Christina Lauren book. I read The Paradise Problem. I listened to this pretty much in its entirety and I loved it. So this follows Anna, and she needed to have like some affordable student housing while she was attending UCLA, and decided to marry Liam, who was a professor at the time. And yeah, so they marry, and they're basically living as roommates. There's no romantic relationship at all. And then they don't see each other for 5 years or something like that. And they're still technically married. And Liam shows up at Anna's door and is like, yeah, I need you to come to my sister's wedding and show up and be my wife. My fake wife, even though we're actually married. And Anna finds out that Liam and his family are extremely rich because they own a grocery store franchise, and Liam can't get his inheritance until he's been married for 5 years, and they are months away from the deadline, and we're trying to work through the inheritance and all the little clauses in the inheritance. And we also get to witness this lavish wedding in, I believe, Thailand with this super rich family. And it's summer, marriage of convenience, and a slight age gap. Not huge, I don't think. I think she's like 23 or 24 and he's like 31. So minor age gap, not actually a minor. Yeah, this was honestly such a super fun read. I loved Anna. She was so fun to read about. I literally laughed out loud at some of her quotes. They're hilarious, what she says. Her banter with Liam is also very hilarious because she kind of like makes fun of him for being a little bit of a grump. And she's very sunshine. Sorry, I just got back. I had to go take my focaccia out of the oven. Priorities. I don't remember where I left off with this. So yeah, 4 stars. Really good, summer vibes, good banter, loved the writing, did what I needed it to do, couldn't ask for much more. And this is also did I say this? This is the second Christina Lauren book I've read. So now I'm interested to read more of their stuff. I haven't really heard like a lot about their other books. I've only heard a lot about Love and Other Words, which I read forever ago and actually just reread for rereading my 5-star reading vlog. So if you're interested in seeing that, I may or may not have that uploaded before this. I don't know yet. And this book. So if you've read other Christina Lauren books, let me know how you like them, because I definitely want to get into more of their stuff. And if you didn't know, they are two best friends, Christina Lauren, and they put their names together, and they're two authors. So I do really like the 2 books that I've read by them. So if you've read other stuff, let me know and sound off in the comments. Just a lot of cowboy romances this month. I swear this is the last one I read this month. Done and Dusted by Lila Sage. Finally got to the Rebel Blue Ranch series, right? Rebel Blue Ranch, yeah. Finally started the first book in the series, and I heard the series only gets better, so I'm very excited to continue. But with Done and Dusted, I gave it 3.5 out of 5, and you're probably like, that's a little low, but you know, like, it was a simple book. It was easy to read. Again, like I said, small town cowboy romances, unless it's Elsie Silver, which I don't know if that's a bad bias or not. Elsie just does something different. I don't want to compare, but she just does something different in her books. I don't know what she's injecting in her writing. But anyways, we're not talking about her. Again, with small town cowboy romances, I just tend to give them 3.5 stars, just because they're really short, usually, simple, straight to the point, and I usually never really remember the characters after I put the book down. Again, with Elsie Silver, I'm sorry, just like Kate and Willa, like, I love them so much. What number are we at? So this follows Clementine, and she is coming home from Colorado, I believe, back to Wyoming to her family's ranch, because she got basically traumatized from she's a barrel racer and got thrown off her horse, which is really scary, and can't ride again. And then she knows Luke from being around her family and working on the ranch and stuff. And they basically connect, and he gets her back on the horse. I think Lila definitely and beautifully enveloped this theme of independence and vulnerability in her book, because Clementine loves being independent. She doesn't like asking for help. And also, you know, she's scared to be vulnerable about her situation, and being able to open up to Luke about such a scary and traumatizing situation, I think was a really beautiful story and a beautiful plot line. And she enveloped it in a cowboy romance, which I can't complain about. And this series, I think, will definitely give major Chestnut Springs vibes, because I just loved meeting the rest of the family, especially like how connected Clementine and her dad are. So these next 3 books were part of a reading vlog I did, and I read some of Sarah Caroli's favorite books, and the first one that I read was Ghosted by J.M. Darhour, and I have been meaning to read this book ever since Sarah first mentioned it on her channel. I can't believe I put it off for so long. I think it's one of my new favorite reads of the year. I gave it a 4.5 out of 5. This literally has everything I love in a book. It is teenage friends to lovers to strangers back to lovers. Like, it is absolutely perfect, and also like single mom as well. Is the plot revolutionary? No. Is the writing revolutionary? Not really. I mean, there are some really cool what JM does with this book with the past and present timeline, because it does switch. She writes the past timeline in a very interesting and unique way that I've never seen before, and it connects to the rest of the story, which is so cool. I loved that aspect of it. I don't want to say what it is, because you should read the book to find out. But I truly just vibed with this book, and sometimes that is literally all I want out of a book, because the next book I talk about is on the complete other side of like reading, in my opinion. Like, this is just like mindless, brainless. I just want to sit and read, escape for a little bit, and vibe with this book. I don't want anything thought-provoking. I don't need themes of X, Y, and Z. I just want to see 2 characters fall in love and live out their happily ever after, and that is exactly what this book did for me. The next book I read in that reading vlog was The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. Talked about it a little bit at the beginning of this video. Really good. I think I gave it, what did I give it? Yep, 4.25 out of 5? Lies. I gave it a 4.5 out of 5. Hello. So if you don't know, this book follows 2 sisters in France. during World War II. It is historical fiction, so these events didn't really happen, but it's based obviously around a non-fictional event that happened in the world. And I listened to this book in its entirety as well, and I think I really liked it that way just because there was so much information in this book that I feel like if I read it by itself, I also read some chapters while listening at the same time, so I feel like that allowed me to have a truly immersive experience, because I feel like if I just read it without listening to it, I feel like I would have skipped over some stuff and missed some things. So I think listening to it and reading at the same time definitely elevated the experience of this book. So I'm just gonna read my little blurb that I wrote down while reading this book, or when I finished it. I said that we truly get a glimpse into women during World War II, but also two types of women, one focused on survival and the other focused on rebellion. So we follow Vienne, who is the older sister, and Isabel, who is more, she is the younger sister and has a more fiery, rebellious type of personality and wants to make a change in this war. I had to keep reminding myself that the story around Vienne and Isabel is fiction, but Kristen effortlessly immersed me into a period of heartbreaking realism and exposing themes of love, family, and heroism. And I truly think that's this perfect summary of this book. And yeah, I can say that I like historical fiction now, which crazy, which is why I said, like, I was like, there's a book that I completely just want to turn my brain off, mindlessly read, and then there's a book that I truly have to sit and think about. And, you know, it just depends on my mood, obviously, but I am so glad I was able to pick this up and finally get into Kristen Hanna. I definitely can't wait for this fall and winter time to curl up with more of her books. And then the last book that I read in that reading vlog was Beartown by Frederick Bachman, also my first Frederick Bachman book, and it was not what I was expecting in the slightest. I honestly thought I was going to like that book more. I wasn't disappointed by any means. I think I gave it a 3.75 out of 5, which I feel like is a fair rating. I don't want to say his writing isn't for me, because I'm intrigued to read the rest of the series, especially with how Beartown left off. It is a 3-book series, if you didn't know, but you probably do. And it basically follows a hockey team in a small town in Sweden called Beartown, and basically this whole town thrives off of 17-year-olds playing hockey, which sounds weird. It's not. It's really like the fundamental basis of this town, and it is something they can all unite about with their like Beartown hockey team, which is super cool. And to see this whole town be so passionate about this sport. I said this in my reading vlog. I feel like his writing reminded me a lot of slam poetry. That's like the best way I can describe his writing. It's like banger sentences, like one after the next. It's like, I said this in my reading vlog too. If you watched it, I'm going to use this example again. Like, he'll start like every chapter with like an overarching like topic or theme, like, what is a leader? Who makes a leader? How do you become a leader? What does a leader look like? And it's just a bunch of like, it's not always just questions, but it always is like these fragments of just like bang, bang, bang. And you're like, okay, like I'm reading a lot of like intriguing 5-word sentences, but I don't know what I'm supposed to get out of it. I vibed with his reading enough to want to read more of his stuff, including, I know Anxious People is a very popular one, and he just released a new book this year as well. But A Man Called Ove as well is a very popular one. So I definitely want to read more of his other work. I just don't, yeah, Beartown was a weird one, but in a good-ish way, I guess. But yeah, 3.75, that's all I really can say. That's what I can say on that. That's how I felt about it. And yeah, I was left intrigued and not confused. Just I just didn't know what I was expecting out of that book. I was expecting like a solid like 4.5 star out of that book. It just took me so long to get through it as well. I think I wished I would have listened to it instead of just read it by itself. So I feel like with the other books in that series, I think I might get the audiobook. I just feel like I might like it a little bit more and get a better sense of his writing through that way, because it's also translated from Swedish to English, I believe. So yeah, I think I'm going to listen to the rest of his books. All right. 4 books left. Home stretch. Next book I read was 7 Days in June by Tia Williams. Finally read this book. Oh my gosh. I love this book. I gave it a 4 out of 5. Oh yeah, I forgot I listened to this book as well. So yeah, four books, 4.5 books I listened to, because I listened to like half of Onyx Storm. I listened to that book in its entirety as well, and I really love my audiobooks, but this one especially, I loved that I listened to it. Also because it's told in the third person, so I feel like I was able to retain more by listening to it as well. So this follows Eva and Shane, and they meet in high school as seniors, I think, and they only hang out for a week, for 7 days, and then they don't talk again until they are adults, and I think like a decade later or something like that. And basically the past and present timeline like lines up from like past Monday 10 years ago, present Monday. So it's like the two timelines are like both over the course of a week, which is really cool, and I really liked that Tia like synchronized it like that. And they are both authors, and oh my gosh, like you can tell with like, and they both know from like each other's work that they're each like writing about each other, even though they haven't talked in so long. And I was like, oh my god. So I really feel like I got to know the characters personally through listening to it, and I know this is a love story, but there's so many more layers to that. It really hits topics of addiction, vulnerability, and healing, and just it's more than just love, and that's what I really enjoyed about this book. And I feel like Tia just effortlessly just wrote these themes into the book, and you're like, wow, this felt like an impactful story. Also, Eva's daughter Audrey, she's so spunky for a 12-year-old. I loved every time she was on the page. I ate her up. She is so adorable. So if there's anything you like to read for in that book, Audrey is definitely a plot, like a major hitter, like character in that book. All right, and the next book I read in July, an Allie Hazelwood book, her new summer release, Problematic Summer Romance. Yep, I gave this a 3.5 out of 5. I know. This, like, I read this in a mood reading vlog I posted in July. Yeah, it was problematic for me. And I've only read 2 other Allie Hazelwood books, and I believe, like, I have Love on the Brain on my August TBR, and I still think this is going to be her lowest ranked book for me, in my opinion. So this follows Maya and Connor, and they go to Italy for Maya's older brother's wedding, and Maya's older brother and Connor are best friends from college. And there is basically a 15-year age gap between Maya and Connor, which is fine. I love a good age gap romance. Obviously, I'm going to bring up Willa and Cade again. They have a 13-year age gap romance, and I love that. But this one was annoying because literally every other sentence Maya said to Connor was her pointing out that he's older than her, he's a geriatric, they have a major age gap, he doesn't like her because she's basically a child, and like he wasn't around when technology was invented and lived in the dinosaur era. Like I could tell you probably every single joke she made in here, and it was way too many, way too much, and I was getting really tired of it really fast. I just feel like their coupling was forced. I just didn't believe the chemistry between the two of them, especially with like Connor. He was so hard to like. I get it, it was Grumpy Sunshine, but he was so grumpy that it was like boring and like flat, and I was like, does this guy have any other sort of personality? He didn't show anything else with Maya. Like, he had the same monotone personality with pretty much everybody, and it was getting pretty boring to read about. And but I did like that they were in Italy. That was fun. Yeah, unfortunately, this one just didn't hit as hard as I thought it would for me. I was so looking forward to reading this, but I still haven't read Deep End. A lot of people, I guess, didn't love that one either. So, yeah, I don't know what happened here, but you can skip this one, I think. Then I read Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry, and I gave this a 4 out of 5. It was good, not great. This follows Alice and Hayden, and basically they are kind of like competing against each other to write this piece on Margaret Ives, who is a socialite from a big like media conglomerate family, and the Ives empire basically like crumbled, and nobody knows really why. And then Margaret went into hiding for like 20 years or something like that. So now she's choosing to come out and say her piece on the family and why she went into hiding. So of course Emily hits a home run with the small town vibes. Of course, this takes place on a small island in Georgia. Emily always just does a great job with writing environmental scenes and putting us into a small town kind of setting, and she obviously didn't miss the mark with this one. But there are other plot points I feel like she missed the mark on a little bit for me. So this did read like a little bit more fiction based over romance, which I liked. I wish she chose one plot over the other, if that makes sense. I get it. The romance would not have existed without the fiction plot point, like the other plot point of Alice interviewing Margaret and getting to know her, obviously because she's competing against Hayden. I'm just gonna read what I said here. The premise was different from other Emily Henry books, but I feel like it could have been executed better from her. I actually enjoyed reading the plot line of learning about Margaret over the romance plot line, and I feel like the romance plot line was only there so it could cater to the romance audience Emily Henry has built, but that left me feeling like the plot line was halfway done, which is still kind of true. There is a good twist in here, but you can easily predict it as you get closer to the end of the book, which is also true. I was listening to this and I was like, this is so gonna happen, and then it did. I did get that amazing small town vibe, I said this earlier, from Emily Henry's books, and it was fun imagining all the different sites. Also from the Margaret plot lines, Margaret does go into detail about like her 20s and what it was like to live in Hollywood in her 20s during that era, and it was really fun to read about. This last plot point I said, also, why does Emily Henry make all of her MMC some shaggy haired guy with a bummy attitude? Am I wrong? So yeah, good, not great. Beach Read is still my favorite from her. So yeah. Okay, I don't want to end on such like a bummy note, but I did technically finish this book in July, but it was also a reread for my rereading 5-star reading vlog, 5-star read vlog, whatever it's called. Yeah, I gave Hopeless 5 stars in 2022 when obviously I was getting back into reading and all I was reading was Colleen Hoover. So I gave it 5 stars at the time, and now rereading it, I'm giving it a 3.5. Obviously, like I'm lowering the rating. This book reading it for the first time is truly an experience. I believe it's a canon event everyone should experience. All of Colleen Hoover's books, I feel like, have some sort of major dark twist or something, and this one obviously didn't let me down in that aspect the first time I read it. Rereading it though, now I see all the little like nuances in her writing that are just not great and give me the ick and feel really immature. So yeah, 3.5. Not really much to say on that. If you want, I guess, more in-depth thoughts, you can watch my reading vlog on it if you want. You don't have to. I mean, it's there if you want to click on it. But yeah, 3.5 for Hopeless because I lost hope. And those are all the books I read in July. 12. Hey, I'm glad I got through that. I didn't really want to sit down and film this because there were so many books this month, but that's a good thing. I'm getting closer to my reading goal. My reading goal is 75 books this year, and I believe I'm at 55 or 56. If you follow me on Goodreads and Fable, you would know how many books that is. I'm at, and you can see what I'm actively reading right now. The links to that are down below. You can friend request me on Goodreads and follow me on Fable, and I will accept your friend request on Goodreads and follow you back on Fable so we can be friends and I can stalk what you are reading in real time too. But that is all I have for this video. If you liked it, make sure to give it a like. If you did, comment down below your favorite read from July. I would love to know, and subscribe because that would be very nice. Again, all the links to my social media are down below. Talked about Goodreads and Fable already. TikTok is down there if you want to see more beauty content from me. That's what I post. And my Instagram is down there too if you want to see other things as well. Thank you so much for watching, and that's all I have for you today. So I hope to see you guys in another video soon. All right, bye!